excelacademy.com, and thank you so much for YouTube. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe to it. And also, if you don't mind liking the videos that you find entertaining or at least informative to you, that way we know exactly how we can go ahead and produce more helpful content on your quest to become a successful tax sale investor. Guys, let's go ahead and get right to it. Today we'll be comparing homes versus vacant land when it comes to investing in tax defaulted real estate. It's the age-old question in this business. Should I focus on homes? Should I focus on land? What's the best? And most importantly, which one will I make the most money with, right? That is the question everybody wants to know. And it's a question that I get asked very frequently. Which one should I focus on, homes or vacant land? So let's go over both of them. We're kind of going to be going back and forth, comparing them. You'll kind of see some trends towards the beginning, and then we'll throw you for a loop here towards the end, right? So here we go. First off, let's talk about supply. What is available at tax sale auctions? If it's not there, guys, you can't purchase it, right? Let me adjust this camera just a little bit for you guys. You can see me a little better. There we go. So if it's not at a tax sale auction, you can't purchase it, right? So what is available at tax sale auctions? The deal is that there will be much more vacant properties available at tax sale auctions compared to land. Of course, this will vary from area to area, but typically I see 7, 8, 9, even 10 properties, 10 vacant properties to every home that is available. Now, guys, some areas they'll have all homes, some areas will have all lots, but on average, you're going to see a lot more vacant properties available than you will see homes. So when it comes to supply, when it comes to what is available at tax sale auctions, you're going to see a lot more vacant land available. So what about acquisition costs? What will it cost you to buy the properties? What's your barrier to entry? Well, vacant land, of course, is going to be much cheaper than your homes. The tax bill and subsequently the delinquent taxes that are owed are going to be less, usually much less than a house, right? So it only makes sense that vacant properties sell for much less than homes sell for. Homes are going to cost more most of the time. Now, every now and then there are exceptions, especially when you have some sort of valuable piece of commercial property or a lot that everybody wants or something crazy like that. But in general speaking, you know, your lots are going to be selling for a lot less than your homes, right? So the barrier to entry is much lower for your vacant land. Moving on, what about maintenance? Maintenance will be a concern for every type of property. Every type of property will have some sort of required maintenance. Yes, even vacant property does require certain maintenance procedures in certain areas. There's some specific cities that I've invested in that have very strict and very stringent guidelines and ordinances and codes that you have to follow. So for a vacant lot, for example, this could mean that you have to keep the weeds less than 4 inches high. Or if you invest in a northern state, this means that once a week, the sidewalk has to be shoveled and the snow has to be thrown off the sidewalk. You have to keep it clear. And I've actually, I've received guidance on that, I guess you can say, or stern letters telling me, hey, you need to clear your sidewalk in these areas. So even vacant lots do require maintenance. Now for homes, this obviously means much more. And depending on where you're investing and exactly what you're doing with the property, at the very least, you're going to make sure that all the basics are covered. We're talking about like the doors need to be shut properly and locking. The windows need to be present and intact. No water leaks. The weeds, of course, have to be mowed. That kind of stuff, right? So homes are generally going to require much more effort to maintain than your vacant properties. So what about carrying costs? What does it actually cost you while you own that property? The maintenance costs that we just discussed can kind of be grouped in this as well. But in addition to your maintenance costs, you'll also have taxes. And you'll have any insurance that you deem necessary for those properties during the time in which you own it. And taxes and insurance, both of course, are going to be much higher on homes. And because of this, improved properties, these homes will have much higher carrying costs than your vacant properties. Now, let's move on to selling these assets. And this is kind of where the tipping point is. This is where the ballgame can kind of change a little bit, right? The roles are reversed. So far, it seems like vacant land is the overwhelming favorite. So let's kind of move on to the selling and we'll see if this changes up, right? So let's first talk about the demand. In most situations, homes will have a much higher demand than vacant lots. More people typically want homes than vacant properties, right? They'll be easier to sell for you since you'll have a much larger audience. This can obviously vary from one area to the next, especially if you're in certain areas of the country like right now that are getting lots and lots of building booms going on. You have builders just buying every vacant lot that they can get. So obviously the demand can kind of change in certain areas and certain market conditions. But overall, on average, homes will have a much higher demand than your vacant properties, okay? That means you can sell them faster and you can move on to other properties. You can keep rolling that money faster and faster. Now, let's talk potential profit. This obviously varies for every single property that you're going to be buying or selling. I can't tell you that you'll make more money with lots, more money with acreage, more money with homes, commercial structures, or whatever else you decide to buy. On specific transactions, I made a lot more money on a lot than a house that I bought the same exact day. And I can flip that. I can say I made a lot more money on a home than a lot I bought the same exact day. So it can really vary from transaction to transaction. Generally speaking, however, you're going to have a much higher profit margin on homes than your land. I've made more money on average off of a home investment than a vacant land investment. And the reason, truthfully, is quite obvious. They just sell for more money. So the gap between what you paid and what you're selling for is going to increase exponentially. Now, I can invest $1,000 into a lot and sell it for $3,000. I can gross $2,000 and do pretty well. I can also invest $15,000 in a house and maybe sell it for $30,000. The same transactional work will be on my shoulders. It'll take just as much effort to buy that property and to sell that property. The deal is all the effort that you have in between, the stuff from when you buy it to when you sell it, everything in between, the maintenance costs, the carrying costs, the liability, the risk, all that stuff in between on a home is going to be much, much larger. But the end result, of course, is you're going to be rewarded for all that effort when you go and sell that property. Now, one can also argue that since you have a higher dollar margin profit-wise, you can be a little bit less risky because you have more profit to offset any unexpected costs. So that same $2,000 that you grossed on that vacant lot, if you have something that pops up and costs you $2,000, hey, there goes your investment, right? But if you have that same situation pop up on a house and it costs you $2,000 as unexpected, it's not that big of a deal because you still have $13,000 in gross profit on the example we provided, right? So one can argue that's a little bit less risky because you're making more money. Of course, there's other inherent risk that goes along with owning a house as well, of course. But here's the deal. Most of my career, I've invested heavily in get-ready, vacant properties. Sure, I bought many, many homes, but a large percentage of all my investments have been vacant land. And I understand it. The deal is when you buy vacant properties, it's not as nearly as glamorous, prestigious, sexy, cool, whatever you want to call it, right? It's just not hip, I guess, to buy vacant land and say, I bought that lot and I flipped it and made a few $1,000s. Some people might not think it's the coolest thing in the world. It might not be nearly as glamorous as buying that home and flipping the house because that's what kind of everybody sees people doing. That's what they think you're supposed to do. But the deal is I've invested very, very heavily in vacant properties and it's done quite well for me. Now, the other thing too is depending on the area that you're investing in, where you're located, your available capital, your objectives, all that good stuff, that's really going to depend on if you buy homes or vacant land. A lot of people do start with vacant land because the barrier to entry, that is the acquisition cost, is going to be much, much lower than your homes. And that's perfectly fine. Others don't want to mess with vacant land. They want to invest in only homes. And guess what? That is perfectly fine as well. When you invest in tax defaulted real estate, there is no perfect investment or there is no perfect route to take. It's not you buy 5 vacant lots, then you buy 5 pieces that are a little bit larger than a lot, then you buy 5 houses. There is no perfect track like that. Instead, you need to take advantage of the opportunities that come before you at the tax sale auctions. You need to figure out what works best for you, and then you need to pull the trigger. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that vacant land is best for you or homes are best for you because every single deal, every person, every area, and most importantly, every single investment opportunity is going to be just a little bit different. The important thing is that when that investment opportunity does arise for the right property, for the right person at the right time, you need to go ahead and move forward with that opportunity and take full advantage of it. So, vacant land versus homes. Who wins? Which one wins, right? Well, sorry guys to ruin it for you, but in my book, it is a tie. You can make money with both vacant lands and homes as a tax sale investor. That's it for today, folks. I really hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. As always, for more information, be sure to head over to taxsaleacademy.com. While you're there, make sure you grab my free book, Tax Sale Playbook. Just input your information, let me know where to ship it, and we'll get it out in the mail for you. Have a great day, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.